Welcome back to How the World Works, the show where we calmly explain the machinery of money, power, and economics, and then quietly accept that most of it runs on vibes, confidence, and very expensive meetings with excellent catering. In the last episode, we talked about why governments are always in debt. Today, we're going one layer deeper and asking a question that reveals far more than central banks are usually comfortable admitting. Why do central banks fear inflation more than recessions? Because inflation doesn't just hurt the economy, it questions the system itself. A recession is painful, no doubt about it. People lose jobs, businesses struggle, politicians roll up their sleeves, put on serious faces, and announce that tough decisions are being made somewhere behind closed doors. But recessions are familiar. They come with a script everyone knows by heart. Central banks cut rates, governments borrow more, economists appear on television and say things like short-term pain, necessary adjustment, and reasons for cautious optimism. Inflation, though, is different. Inflation is when money itself starts misbehaving. You still earn pounds, you still save pounds, nothing looks broken on paper. But slowly, quietly, you notice that your money does less. Your grocery shop costs more. Your rent goes up. A coffee becomes a lifestyle choice. Your salary hasn't changed, but your standard of living has quietly slipped out the back door while nobody was looking. That's what makes inflation unsettling. It breaks an unspoken promise that money is stable. And once people stop trusting money, they start asking extremely inconvenient questions. Questions like why they're working harder just to stand still. Or why strong economic growth doesn't feel very strong at all when bills keep landing with new enthusiasm. From a lender's perspective, inflation is a nightmare. If £100 are lent today and inflation runs hot, the repayment comes back weaker, the numbers look identical, but the value has quietly evaporated. In financial terms, that's called a loss of purchasing power. In plain English, it's being cheated by time. For borrowers, however, inflation can feel like relief. Debts shrink in real terms. Mortgages look lighter. Governments, as the largest borrowers of all, are very aware of this effect. But the people lending to governments, bondholders, institutions, pension funds, are also very aware. And they tend to have very good access to decision makers, which leads to a simple but uncomfortable truth. Recessions hurt workers first, inflation hurts creditors first, and that distinction explains almost everything about how central banks behave. Central banks exist to protect the currency, not wages, not housing affordability, not whether a fixed-rate mortgage is about to reset into a small existential crisis. Their core responsibility is trust. Trust in money, trust in markets, trust that tomorrow's pound will broadly resemble today's pound rather than becoming a decorative voucher with nostalgic value. That's why inflation triggers urgency. Emergency meetings, strong language, interest rates rising quickly, entire populations being told this pain is necessary medicine, even if the side effects include cancelled plans, tighter budgets, and a sudden personal interest in monetary policy. Recessions, by contrast, are handled with patience. We are monitoring the situation. There are early signs of stabilization. The labor market remains resilient, which is economist language for this will hurt, but not urgently enough to alarm the people who matter most. This isn't a conspiracy, it's structure. The financial system is built around preserving the value of capital. Inflation threatens that foundation directly. Recessions strain it, stress it, and occasionally bruise it, but they don't undermine trust in money itself. And to be fair, runaway inflation really can destroy societies. History is brutally clear on that point, but the speed and force of central bank reactions also tell us something else about whose losses are considered unacceptable and whose are quietly absorbed as part of the adjustment process. So when inflation is framed as the ultimate evil, remember, it's not just about prices, it's about confidence, control, and the priorities baked into the system long before anyone asked how it might feel on the ground. That's how the world works. If you're enjoying this, do subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And next time, we'll tackle another comforting myth. Why money printing doesn't work the way people think it does, and why it keeps happening anyway. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.